Alignment within a partnership is critical. And for me, I learned this as a result of personal relationships that I was in. So I was that helpless romantic. I mean, the stuff I did when I was in high school, even middle school, was like so over the top. I mean, like love letters were a daily thing. Like the stuff I would do was really intense. And one of the biggest lessons of my life came with the relationship right before I met my now wife, Lindsay. And in that relationship, every aspect of it was completely and utterly misaligned. The values that we had were completely opposing. It doesn't mean that she was wrong or I was wrong or she was right and I was right. They were just opposing values. Our interests were opposing. Where we were going with our life was opposing. And I remember in that moment realizing to myself, this lack of alignment is causing what in chiropractic would be called subluxation. And what subluxation means is interference. And what a chiropractor does is they want to eliminate interference so that you can then flourish and perform optimally. And I remember visualizing our relationship as a spine, because I was working with a lot of chiropractors at the time. I'm like, there's so much interference right now, which is preventing both of us from experiencing the optimal form of existence. And in that moment, I said, okay, well, what would it look like to have an aligned relationship? And I started to document what that meant. What were the characteristics that I wanted to have in a relationship, not even in a person, but in a relationship, to ensure that interests were present, where we were going was to the exact same destination, we would get there faster together, the values that we hold were really aligned, and I started to define what that looked like. And then the next thing you know, I ended up meeting the woman that I'm now married with, and we have children with, we have a wonderful family. But the same holds true in business. Because here's what I know, is when I was in that personal relationship, there was this little voice inside that was not very little. It was actually really loud. It was consistently telling me, Jared, just stop, don't keep going deeper. You putting in more energy is not gonna change the other person. You putting in more energy is not gonna change the relationship. And the same holds true for business. Because I've had a few really bomb business relationships in my life that caused excessive economic loss and stress and drama, and they've slowed me down. And in every one of those, I could have predicted that outcome if I listened to that little voice that wasn't so little inside that was telling me, stop. And all of us have that. Your intuition is such a profound force. You just have to listen and, more importantly, act based on it. And when you act based on what your intuition is telling you, what it will do is it will create new opportunities for you, and it will prevent you from stepping forward into others that are going to inevitably slow you down, distract you, and cause pain and suffering. So what alignment looks like for me in any dynamic at this stage is that little voice inside is giving me green lights and only green lights, and I'm willing to sprint and run and listen to that voice, because if anything changes, it'll be the first thing to tell me.